The First Battle of Independence was a minor engagement of the American Civil War occurring on August 11, 1862, in the city of Independence, located in Jackson County, Missouri. Its result was a Confederate victory, continuing the Southern domination of the Jackson County area for a few days while the recruiters completed their work. This battle should not be confused with the Second Battle of Independence, which was fought in 1864. The battle also resulted in a Confederate victory. Background: during the summer of 1862, many Confederate and Missouri State Guard recruiters were dispatched northward from Arkansas into Missouri to replenish the depleted ranks of Trans-Mississippi forces. Among these were Captain Joe Shelby, Colonel Bud Cockrell, Colonel John T. Coffee, Upton Hayes, John Charles Tracy, John T. Hughes, Gideon W. Thompson and DeWitt C. Hunter. Various guerrillas and bushwhackers, most notably those under William Quantrill, had gathered in Missouri and assisted these recruiters as they worked in the region. For example, Upton Hayes was aided by 30 men from Quantrill's command under the brutal George Todd. By August 1, Hayes was camped near Lee's Summit with 150 men. Additional Confederates continued to infiltrate the area throughout the days that followed. Union forces, meanwhile, were bivouacked in Independence, the county seat of Jackson County. These were led by Lt. Colonel James T. Buell. Like many towns in that part of Missouri, Independence had a number of sympathizers from both sides residing in it. Colonel Hughes intended to cross the Missouri River to recruit around his hometown of Clinton County, Missouri. He and Gideon Thompson rode to Hayes's camp with 75 men. 25 additional men with Quantrill soon arrived. The officers conferred. Desperate for ammunition, and needing a victory to stir the recruiting efforts, they determined to make a surprise attack against Buell before he could attack them. Cole Younger and another man conducted a successful reconnaissance of the town on the day prior to the Confederate attack. Lt. Colonel Buell for his part had sent one of his officers, a Captain Breckinridge, scouting for 11 days, but Breckinridge found nothing. Buell became aware of Hayes's camp, however, and prepared to attack it. On the evening of August 10, several citizens warned Buell of an impending assault on the city. Many Union residents had already fled. Buell ignored these warnings, but another of his officers, a Captain Rodeval, did not. The Federals were positioned in 3 main concentrations: the camp near a rock wall, the bank serving as Buell's headquarters, and the county jail. Opposing forces: Union, Lt. Colonel James T. Buell, 7th Missouri Cavalry, Captain James Breckinridge, Lt. James M. Vance, 2nd Battalion Missouri State Militia Cavalry, Captain Jacob Axline, Captain Franklin Cochran, Captain Aaron Thomas, 6th Regiment Missouri Enrolled Militia, W. H. Rodeval, Confederate, Cole, Acting Brigadier John T. Hughes recruiters, Hayes Regiment, Quantrill's guerrillas, battle, Colonel John T. Hughes's Confederate force, including the partisan leader William Quantrill, attacked Independence before dawn, in 2 columns using different roads. They drove through the town to the Union Army camp, delivering a deadly volley to the sleeping men. Captain Breckinridge suggested surrender, but Captain Jacob Axline formed the Federal troops behind a rock wall and a nearby ditch while the Confederates rifled through the camp, looking for ammunition. The rebels made several attacks against Axline's wall, but never succeeded in taking it. Here Colonel Hughes was killed, while Thompson and Hayes were wounded. Lt. Colonel Buell attempted to hold out with part of his force in the bank building he used as his headquarters. He was forced to surrender after an adjacent building was set afire. Through a flag of truce, Buell arranged a meeting with the new Confederate commander, Cole. Gideon W. Thompson, who had replaced Colonel Hughes, killed earlier. Buell surrendered, and about 150 of his men were paroled. The remainder had escaped, hidden, or been killed. Murders committed by George Todd. Realizing that they would be quickly overwhelmed, the Federal troops defending the jail fired a volley and fled. Confederate guerrilla leader George Todd freed the prisoners at the jail, among them City Marshal James Knowles, jailed for the killing of a rowdy citizen. Todd also captured Captain Aaron Thomas of the 2nd Battalion Missouri State Militia Cavalry. Knowles had guided Thomas' force in a successful ambush of Todd's command in an earlier engagement, killing several of them. Todd and his men summarily executed Knowles and Thomas. Ironically, George Todd would later be killed at the Second Battle of Independence in 1864. Casualties and aftermath. The First Battle of Independence resulted in approximately 344 known Union casualties. Total losses for the Confederate side are unknown. Most of the Union command in Independence was captured, with only a few groups of men making good their escape. The Confederate victory was costly, however, resulting in the death of 10 experienced officers, among them Colonel John T. Hughes, and the wounding of Colonels Hayes and Thompson. The victors left town late that afternoon, but remained in the area for several days. Hayes led them in a cooperative attack with other Confederate commands against a Federal force arriving at Lone Jack. Although the Southerners had won a victory at Independence, they were unable to follow it up in any significant fashion. Confederate dominance in the Jackson County area would continue, but not for long. Lt. Colonel Buell's performance and his failure to heed warnings of impending attack by prominent citizens were widely condemned. Captain Breckinridge's inability to find any guerrillas in the preceding 11 days, together with his eagerness to surrender, were also considered disgraceful. Both men were court-martialed and the soldiers who had been captured were mustered out of service. Since the two officers had been dismissed with the men, nothing ultimately came of the court-martial proceedings. On June 3, 1864, the former captain, Axline, was murdered by guerrillas while on his way home to Hickman Mills. Independence would later become the site of a second Civil War battle in October 1864, as part of General Sterling Price's Missouri campaign that culminated in his defeat at the Battle of Westport.